Hi, Virgo. Welcome to Virgo. I'm really happy to see you again. I'm here today to do your reading. This is for Virgo, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus signs, angels, divine spirits, and guides. Show me the messages for okay. There's opportunity materializing in your awareness right now. Something being extended to you that carries weight, carries potential, carries possibility for substantial shift in your circumstances or your trajectory. And what's interesting, what's almost amusing in cosmic sense, is that your system has already decided. Your body knows before your mind catches up. Your intuition made the choice before your logic started building justifications. You're going to say yes to this. The question isn't whether, the question is when you stop pretending you're still deciding, when you acknowledge what's already true, which is that this offer, this opportunity, this proposal or invitation or opening that's presenting itself, it's already yours. You've already claimed it internally, even if externally you're still performing consideration, still acting like you need more information, still maintaining appearance of being someone who weighs options carefully when actually the weighing is theater, the deliberation is performance. The real decision happened at soul level. The moment the offer arrived and something in you recognized it as meant for you, as aligned with you, as exactly what you've been preparing for, even if you didn't know you were preparing. And the want to know more that follows isn't really question, is it? Its invitation into deeper understanding of what you're about to accept is less than #0. 5# is greater than what accepting means, what comes with the yes, you're already formulating, what shifts when you stop resisting what your intuition is pulling you toward and surrender to the momentum that's building, that's been building probably longer than you realize. Through circumstances and choices and moments that seemed unrelated at the time, but were actually constructing a pathway to exactly this offer, exactly this opportunity, exactly this moment where something you want or need or have been calling in, consciously or unconsciously, finally presents itself in form tangible enough to grasp, concrete enough to accept, real enough to transform from possibility into actuality through your willingness to say yes. But here's what you need to understand about offers that feel destined, opportunities that feel meant, moments where your whole being says yes before your brain finishes analyzing. They're tests as much as gifts. They're asking not just, do you want this, but are you ready for this? Not just, can you accept this, but can you handle what accepting this requires? Because every substantial yes changes you. Every meaningful acceptance demands something, creates responsibility, opens doors while simultaneously closing others, commits you to path that precludes other paths you might have walked if you'd chosen differently. So, yes, you're going to accept. That part is clear. But let me show you what you're actually accepting, what comes with the yes, what you need to know before the ink dries, before the commitment becomes official, before the moment of choice becomes a moment of living with choice you made is less than #0. 5# is greater than. In the architecture of offers that feel cosmically aligned, that create immediate resonance in your system, signaling rightness before logic confirms rightness. Several elements distinguish genuine opportunity from attractive trap disguised as opportunity. Um, First element is spaciousness. Real opportunities, ones that serve your evolution and expansion, create sense of opening rather than closing, sense of possibility multiplying rather than narrowing, sense of freedom rather than constraint, even as they require commitment. When you imagine saying yes, when you sit with the acceptance, does your breath deepen or shallow? Does your chest expand or contract? Does your system relax into the rightness or tense against some subtle wrongness your conscious mind is overriding because the offer looks good on paper, sounds good in description, seems like thing you should want, even if deeper knowing is raising quiet objections you're choosing to ignore. Your current offer, the one you're moving toward accepting, likely passes this spaciousness test. You feel expanded by it, excited, energized rather than drained. The yes feels like opening rather than closing, like stepping into larger version of yourself rather than contracting into smaller, safer version. This is good sign. This suggests the opportunity is genuine, is aligned, is actually serving your highest path rather than just looking like it serves, while actually diverting you from where you're meant to go. Second element is clarity about what's being offered versus what you're projecting onto what's being offered is less than hash zero. 5 hash is greater than. Sometimes we receive opportunity that's actually modest, actually limited, actually quite specific in what it provides, but we inflate it in our imagination. We add features and benefits and outcomes that aren't actually part of the package. We project our desires onto the offer until we're not even seeing the offer anymore. We're seeing fantasy version that's going to disappoint us when reality doesn't match what we imagined. This is how people accept job offers thinking they're accepting dream careers, accept relationship offers thinking they're accepting soulmate connections, accept opportunities thinking they're accepting transformative experiences, and then feel betrayed when what they got is what was actually offered, not what they fantasized was offered. So examine what's actually on the table here. Strip away your hopes and projections and desires for what you want this to be. Look at what's concretely, specifically, explicitly being provided. Is that enough? Is the actual offer, not the imagined enhanced version, sufficient to warrant your yes? Because if you're saying yes to fantasy while reality is offering something more modest, you're setting yourself up for disappointment that's not actually the offer's fault, that's your projection's fault. That's your inability to accept what is rather than demanding what you wish it were. And if the actual offer, the real one, the one without your embellishments, still creates that spacious yes feeling, still generates genuine excitement, still feels aligned and right and meant for you, then you're in solid territory. Then acceptance is likely wise choice. Then moving forward serves you rather than setting you up for regret once illusion meets reality and reality wins. Because reality always wins is less than hash zero. 5 hash is greater than. This reflection invites you to consider, are you accepting what's actually offered, or are you accepting a fantasy version you've constructed in your imagination? Third element is examination of cost. Every acceptance costs something: time, energy, attention, opportunity to pursue alternatives, current comfort or security or freedom you're trading for whatever the new opportunity provides. Sometimes the cost is worth it, sometimes it's not. but knowing the cost before you accept rather than discovering it after prevents the kind of regret that comes from, I didn't realize this would require so much of me. I didn't understand what I'd be. Giving up, I didn't know accepting this would mean closing that. Your opportunity, whatever it is specifically, romantic or professional or creative or geographical or relational, it has price tag. What are you giving up to have this? What are you saying no to by saying yes here? What current reality are you leaving behind? And are you genuinely ready to leave it? Or are you going to miss it once it's gone? Going to resent the new situation for not being the old situation, even though you chose to leave the old situation? Going to regret the trade, even though the trade is what you wanted when you weren't fully considering what wanting it would actually require you to release. Some costs are obvious. Accepting job in new city costs your current location, your current community, your current routines. Accepting romantic commitment costs your single freedom, your ability to explore other options, your independence in certain areas is less than hash zero. 5 hash is greater than. Accepting creative project costs time you'd spend elsewhere, energy that can't be divided indefinitely, focus that makes other pursuits secondary or impossible during the intensive period. Other costs are subtle, only becoming visible after acceptance when you're already committed and backing out would be complicated or impossible. Cost of accepting something good might be letting go of belief that you don't deserve good things, which sounds easy but actually requires dismantling protective mechanisms you've built around unworthiness that feel safer than vulnerability of having something you could lose. Cost of accepting success might be dealing with other people's jealousy or discomfort with your elevation, losing relationships that can't tolerate your growth, facing your own fears about visibility and responsibility that come with being successful rather than being safely invisible in mediocrity. Cost of accepting love might be grieving the independence you've clung to, the self sufficiency that protected you from being hurt by others, the walls that kept you safe but also kept you lonely. And if you're not ready to grieve those protections, accepting love becomes exercise and sabotage, where you destroy what you accepted because keeping it requires becoming someone you're not sure you can be. This reflection invites you to consider, what is this acceptance going to cost you? And are you genuinely willing to pay the price, or are you underestimating what the price will be? Fourth element, and this is crucial, is readiness versus desire is less than has home. 0 hash is greater than. You can want something desperately while being completely unready for it. You can desire opportunity with every fiber of your being while lacking capacity to handle what opportunity requires. Desire doesn't equal readiness. Wanting doesn't mean prepared. And accepting something you desire but aren't ready for often destroys both you and the opportunity. Because you can't rise to meet what it demands, can't sustain what it requires, can't be the person who handles this level of responsibility or visibility or intimacy or challenge or success without crumbling under pressure you weren't prepared to handle. Your imminent acceptance is happening because some part of you believes you're ready. But are you? Have you done the internal work that makes you capable of holding what you're about to receive? Have you developed the skills, the maturity, the capacity that this opportunity will demand? Or are you hoping that accepting will force you to rise to occasion, gambling that pressure will create performance. That necessity will birth capability. That wanting it badly enough will somehow make you ready for it, even though readiness is built through preparation, through development, through accumulated experience that creates foundation solid enough to support weight of what you're accepting. Sometimes the gamble works. Sometimes accepting before you're fully ready is exactly what catalyzes readiness. Forces growth, creates urgency that nothing else would create, pushes you into becoming a person who can handle this because handling it is no longer optional, it's immediate necessity. This is how some people rise to meet extraordinary opportunities, by accepting them before feeling ready, by trusting that readiness will come through doing, through trying, through failing and adjusting until they figure out how to succeed. But sometimes the gamble fails catastrophically. Sometimes accepting before readiness is sufficient leads to public failure, personal crisis, breakdown rather than breakthrough. And recovery from that kind of failure takes years, leaves scars, creates trauma around future opportunities because this one proved you weren't ready and maybe you'll never be ready. Maybe you're not capable of what you thought you were capable of. Maybe you should stay small and safe rather than risking another devastating failure by reaching for something beyond your current capacity. Oof. So assess honestly, are you ready for what you're about to accept? Not perfectly ready, not completely ready, but ready enough that the gap between your current capacity and required capacity is bridgeable through effort and growth rather than being chasms so wide that no amount of effort can span it. That accepting sets you up to drown in demands you simply cannot meet, no matter how hard you try. This reflection invites you to consider, if you're not quite ready yet, is accepting now wise leap of faith, or is it premature choice that should wait until readiness catches up with desire? Now let's talk about the specific nature of what you're being offered, because offers come in flavors. Romantic offers require different consideration than professional offers. Creative opportunities demand different assessment than financial opportunities. What's being extended to you right now? What's creating that pull, that sense that acceptance is inevitable? What domain of your life is this touching? If it's romantic, if someone is offering you relationship, commitment, future together, partnership that's more substantial than what you've had before or what you currently have, then your acceptance needs to account for the fact that relationships require more than desire, more than chemistry, more than love or attraction or compatibility. They require capacity for sustained intimacy, for conflict resolution, for disappointment management when person inevitably reveals themselves as human with flaws rather than fantasy with perfection. They require ability to stay when things get hard, rather than leaving when initial excitement fades. They require communication skills, emotional regulation, willingness to be vulnerable, and to hold someone else's vulnerability with care. Do you have these? Have you built these? Or are you accepting romantic offer, hoping that love will be enough, that wanting it to work will make it work? That this time will be different, even though you haven't actually developed differently, haven't actually addressed patterns that destroyed previous relationships, haven't actually become person capable of sustaining healthy partnership. because capability comes from work, from healing, from growth, not from just meeting right person and hoping right person fixes what's broken in you. If it's professional, if you're being offered position, opportunity, advancement that represents substantial step forward in career or creative life or financial situation is less than has hone, zero hash is greater than, then your acceptance needs to account for the fact that professional opportunities often demand more than you think they'll demand, expand beyond initial scope, require hours and energy and sacrifice that looked manageable from distance, but become overwhelming up close. And professional opportunities come with visibility, with accountability, with people watching and judging and expecting, with performance pressure that's different from doing something in private, where failure is private, where mistakes are yours alone to process, where no one's evaluating whether you're succeeding or failing except you. Can you handle that? Can you perform under observation? Can you deliver consistently rather than just brilliantly occasionally? Can you manage the stress, the expectations, the weight of responsibility that comes with being person in that role, having that title, occupying that position where people depend on you, where mistakes cost more than just your own disappointment? This reflection invites you to consider what specific domain is this offer in, and do you have honest assessment of what accepting in that domain will require from you. And here's the final piece, the piece that actually determines whether your inevitable acceptance becomes source of joy or source of regret: sustainability. Can you sustain what you're accepting? Not just in the honeymoon phase when everything is new and exciting and you're running on adrenaline and novelty, but 6 months in, a year in, when the newness wears off and what remains is actual reality of what you accepted is less than has home. Zero hash is greater than actual daily experience of living with this choice, actual work of maintaining what initial acceptance created. Some opportunities are sprints, short term, intense experiences that demand everything for limited time and then complete, releasing you back to normal life with new experience, new skills, new connections, new accomplishments. These are easier to sustain because sustainability only needs to last defined period. You know there's end date. You can push through difficulty because pushing has time limit. Other opportunities are marathons, long-term commitments that become new normal that you have to sustain indefinitely, that don't have natural conclusion point where you can rest and recover. These require different kind of capacity, different kind of energy management, different approach to pacing, because you can't sprint a marathon, can't go all out from start knowing you have miles and miles ahead, have to conserve, have to sustain, have to find rhythm that's maintainable long term. Which kind is your opportunity? And do you have the sustainability required for whichever kind it is? Because accepting sprint as marathon leads to burnout. Accepting marathon as sprint leads to collapse. Match your approach to actual nature of what you're accepting, not to what you wish it were or what you're hoping it'll be. Your acceptance is coming. That's clear. The yes is forming, the commitment is building, the choice is essentially made, even if it hasn't been spoken yet. So make the yes conscious, make it informed, make it wise, rather than just enthusiastic. Accept, knowing what you're accepting, knowing what it costs, knowing what it requires, knowing whether you're ready, knowing whether you can sustain it. Let your yes be full yes, not yes with asterisks, not yes with secret reservations, not yes while secretly hoping it won't require what it's definitely going to require. You're accepting this offer. I can see it, you can feel it. Now accept it with full awareness, full commitment, full readiness to meet what comes with the acceptance. Make your yes powerful, make it conscious, make it yours. The offer is here. The acceptance is inevitable. The details matter. Know what you're saying yes to, then say it without reservation.